Respect is not moral. It is mechanical. Most people misunderstand respect. They think respect is something you deserve because you are kind, because you are honest, because you have good intentions. That belief is comforting and completely false. Respect is not moral. Respect is mechanical. It operates like gravity. It responds not to who you are inside, but to what happens when someone crosses you. Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology gave it language. He observed rulers, generals, merchants, and men in power, and noticed something deeply uncomfortable. People do not treat you based on your character. They treat you based on what they can get away with. Disrespect is never random. It is never accidental. It is experimental. Someone tests you. You respond, or you don't. They adjust accordingly. And once a pattern is set, it hardens. This is why some people are always disrespected, no matter where they go, while others command respect without raising their voice. The difference is not personality, it is strategy. Today, we are dismantling the fantasy version of respect and replacing it with something more useful: earned authority. Not loud, not aggressive, not emotional, but calculated, predictable, costly to violate. These 7 methods are not about being cruel, they are about being untouchable. Before we begin, understand this rule. Power is not what you intend. Power is what others believe you can enforce. You do not need to dominate everyone. You need to never be safe to disrespect. Once that belief sets in, behavior changes automatically. Let's begin with the foundation. Method 1. Set boundaries and assert dominance. Disrespect flourishes in uncertain territory. When people don't know what you tolerate, what triggers consequence. Where your line actually is, they push, not because they hate you, but because human beings are biologically wired to test hierarchy. Many people believe, if I'm respectful, others will respect me. That works only in environments with external enforcement, laws, contracts, institutions. In social dynamics, workplace politics, relationships, and leadership, respect without consequence is interpreted as permission. Machiavelli warned against this exact error. A prince who is too merciful invites disorder. Mercy without structure breeds contempt. What boundaries actually are not emotional statements. They are behavioral limits with implied consequences. Weak boundary. I don't really like when you talk to me that way. Strong boundary. Don't speak to me like that again. Notice the difference. No emotion. No justification. No invitation to debate. Dominance is clarity without apology. Powerful people speak in declarative sentences. Weak people speak in questions, explanations, emotional framing. Compare. Low status. Could you maybe not do that next time? High status. That stops now. Your tone matters more than your words. Calm, slow, neutral. Anger signals loss of control. Calm signals authority. Example, social disrespect. Someone makes a sarcastic remark at your expense in a group. Most people freeze. They laugh it off. They swallow it. That single moment trains the room. Machiavellian response. You pause. You look directly at them. You say, "Don't do that again." Then silence. No humor. No hostility. No explanation. The room recalibrates instantly. Why? Because you just demonstrated self-respect. Social courage, willingness to create tension. Most people avoid tension. Those who don't are assumed to be dangerous to cross. A boundary without consequence is a suggestion. You do not need to threaten. You need to follow through once. After that, your reputation does the work. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. Punishments should be inflicted all at once. One clean enforcement beats 100 warnings. If you respect clarity, control, and earned authority, subscribe now. This channel is for people who refuse to be easy targets. This method fails because most people want to be liked, approved, seen as good. Power demands a trade. You sacrifice universal approval for selective respect. Those who want to be loved by everyone are respected by no one. Method 2. Calculated silence and observation. Silence terrifies weak people. Why? Because silence removes feedback. When someone disrespects you, they are often fishing for emotion, for insecurity, for confirmation of superiority. If you react immediately, you give them all three. Machiavellian silence is not passive. It is predatory patience. Instant reactions reveal your emotional triggers, your ego wounds, your predictability. Once known, you can be manipulated. Machiavelli warned rulers about this exact weakness. Men are quick to believe what they wish to be true. If someone sees you react emotionally, they believe, "I can move him." That belief is fatal. What calculated silence does. Silence does three things simultaneously. Withholds emotional reward, creates psychological uncertainty, gives you informational advantage. Humans hate uncertainty more than confrontation. When you don't respond, the other person begins to spiral internally. Did that land? Did I go too far? Are they plotting something? You've shifted the discomfort onto them. High-status individuals do not rush to explain themselves. They assume, if this matters, it will reveal itself. Silence communicates confidence, self-control, strategic depth. It implies you are not reactive prey. Example can be found in a professional setting. A colleague undermines you subtly in a meeting. Instead of responding publicly, you note it, you say nothing, you observe patterns. Later, privately, you address it with precision, or, if appropriate, you let their behavior expose them. Silence buys you timing control, and timing is power. While silent, you analyze. Is this insecurity? Is this competition? Is this habitual disrespect? Different motivations require different responses. Machiavelli never attacked blindly. He diagnosed before striking. Silence is strongest when you already have some status. The other person expects reaction. The environment is social or hierarchical. Silence followed by later decisive action is devastating. It signals, I noticed everything. I simply chose the right moment. Silence only works when paired with strong posture, eye contact, emotional neutrality. Avoid nervous smiling, shrinking body language avoidance. That is not silence, that is submission. Machiavellian silence contains power. Think about the last time someone tested you. Which move would have changed the outcome? Write it in the comments. By now you should see the pattern forming. Method 1 establishes your line. Method 2 controls information and timing. These are the foundations. Without them, the next methods won't work. Like this video if you're ready to level up your self-respect. Because once you stop reacting emotionally, you stop being manageable. Transition. Why most confrontations are losing moves. By now, you should understand something crucial. Not every act of disrespect deserves confrontation. In fact, most confrontations reduce your power. Why? Because confrontation centers the other person, elevates their importance. Signals emotional investment. Machiavelli warned leaders about this exact trap. He observed that rulers who reacted to every provocation appeared reactive, thin-skinned, and unstable. True power is not loud. True power decides what is worth attention. This brings us to one of the most misunderstood and devastating tools in dark psychology. Strategic indifference. Strategic indifference is not avoidance, it is selective starvation. Disrespect feeds on one thing above all else: response. Not necessarily anger, not necessarily fear. Any response that says, "You matter enough to affect me." Strategic. Indifference removes that fuel entirely. Human beings are wired to seek. Validation reaction. Social positioning. When someone disrespects you, especially subtly, they are often testing. Can I elevate myself by lowering you? Will I get attention? Will this shift the hierarchy? If you respond emotionally, you answer yes. If you respond with indifference, you deliver a far more painful message. You are irrelevant. And irrelevance is the ultimate status of death. Anger still acknowledges the other person's power. Indifference denies it. Anger says, "You moved me." Indifference says, "You failed to register." Machiavelli understood this implicitly. He advised rulers not to crush every enemy, but to ignore meant into obscurity. Strategic indifference versus passive submission. This distinction is critical. Passive submission looks like avoidance, shrinking presence, nervous compliance, social withdrawal. Strategic indifference looks like calm detachment, neutral tone, minimal engagement, continued success, and visibility. You are not retreating. You are withdrawing oxygen. Someone repeatedly makes small jabs at you in a group setting. They want laughter. Reaction, social elevation. Instead of correcting them, you don't laugh. You don't respond. You redirect your attention elsewhere. You continue conversations as if they didn't speak. This creates an immediate imbalance. The group subconsciously registers. That didn't land. And more importantly, he didn't even bother. The attacker now faces a dilemma. Escalate, risk exposure. Stop, lose momentum. Either outcome benefits you. Here's the Machiavellian brilliance of strategic indifference. It forces the other person to reveal themselves. If they stop, then they weren't powerful to begin with. If they escalate, then they expose insecurity or malice. Now you have justification for stronger action, with witnesses. Machiavelli never struck first blindly. He let enemies overplay their... And now, coming to your workplace. In professional environments, indifference is lethal. Instead of defending your competence, arguing over credit, correcting every slight, you stay composed, let results speak, build alliances quietly. Your silence combined with competence creates a narrative. They're unbothered and effective. That combination terrifies insecure rivals. People unconsciously rank others based on neediness. The less you seem to need, approval, validation, attention, the higher your perceived status. Strategic indifference signals, I am self-contained. Self-contained people are assumed to be powerful. Indifference is not universal. Do not use it when a boundary has already been clearly violated. The disrespect undermines authority publicly. Silence would be interpreted as fear. In those cases, indifference becomes submission. Machiavellian strategy is always context-sensitive. Strategic indifference handles individual offenders. But true power is not reactive. It is environmental. The highest form of dominance ensures disrespect never happens in the first place. That brings us to the most powerful weapon in this entire framework: reputation warfare. Machiavelli famously wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand." Translation: people respond to perception before experience. Your reputation shapes behavior in advance. If your reputation is strong enough, you won't need to confront, correct, or defend. The environment will do it for you. Now, let me define reputation in simple terms. Reputation is not popularity. It is predictability of consequence. When people believe he doesn't tolerate disrespect, she's calm but decisive, crossing him comes at a cost. Behavior changes instantly, not because of fear, Because of risk calculation. How reputations are built and destroyed. Reputation is formed through consistent behavior, visible enforcement, witnessed outcomes. One moment handled correctly in public is worth 10 private conversations. Machiavelli emphasized symbolic acts, actions that signal power beyond their immediate effect. Powerful people rarely need to enforce boundaries repeatedly. They do it once, cleanly and visibly. After that, stories circulate. Humans learn socially. I saw what happened to him. You become expensive to challenge. Example of when reputation is applied in leadership. 2 leaders. Leader A constantly explains himself, tries to be liked, corrects people gently and often. Leader B rarely corrects. When he does, it's firm and final. Never raises his voice. Who commands more respect? Leader B. Why? Because people don't remember frequency. They remember impact. Once your reputation solidifies, people choose words carefully around you. Jokes stop short, challenges soften. You haven't said anything. Your name did the work. This is Machiavellian efficiency at its highest level. Humans outsource judgment. If others treat you with respect, newcomers will mirror that behavior automatically. Reputation transfers fear and respect without effort. This is why leaders focus on visibility and symbolism, not endless confrontation. How to engineer a powerful reputation? Be calm under pressure. Emotional volatility destroys authority. Address disrespect once, decisively. Never nag. Never plead. Be selective with access. Scarcity creates value. Maintain consistency. Unpredictable enforcement weakens reputation. Machiavelli warned, a prince must be consistent in his character. The danger of a soft reputation. If people believe, he lets things slide. She won't do anything. He avoids conflict. Disrespect multiplies, not out of cruelty, but out of opportunity. Nature exploits weakness. So do people. Confrontation solves moments. Reputation solves patterns. Machiavellian strategy always favors systems over reactions. When you combine strategic indifference, starvation, reputation, warfare, deterrence, you become psychologically untouchable. You don't chase respect. You attract compliance. Others adjust automatically. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because once people understand power, they stop begging for respect and start commanding it. Up to this point, you've learned how to draw lines, withhold reaction, starve disrespect, weaponize reputation. But here's where most people still fail. They say too much. They over-explain. They vent. They moralize. They speak emotionally when they should speak strategically. Machiavelli understood a brutal truth. Power is lost faster through words than through actions. Speech reveals intentions, insecurities, emotional state. And once revealed, it can be exploited. That's why the next method is not about talking more. It's about talking surgically. Method 5. Targeted communication. Targeted communication is not expression. It is behavioral correction. You are not trying to be understood. You are not trying to be liked. You are not trying to persuade emotionally. You are setting terms. Most people communicate disrespect like this. I felt really disrespected when you said that. It hurt, and I don't think it was fair. This invites debate, gaslighting, minimization reversal. Now the conversation becomes about feelings. Machiavellian communication avoids feelings entirely. Effective targeted communication has 3 traits. Specific, brief, non-emotional example. Instead of, "You're always undermining me." Say, "That comment undermined my role." Don't repeat it. No anger, no story, no explanation, just a directive. Length signals defensiveness. Power speaks in short sentences because power does not need to justify itself. Machiavelli wrote that rulers who explained themselves excessively appeared uncertain. Certainty is communicated through finality, not volume. Example: social correction. Someone makes a disrespectful joke toward you. Weak response. Forced laughter. Later resentment. Emotional response. Public argument. Escalation. Machiavellian response. You pause. You look at them. You say, "That was unnecessary." Then silence. You don't wait for agreement. You don't clarify. You move on. That moment reasserts hierarchy. Targeted communication does something powerful. It frames the other person as the one who erred. You are not defensive. You are corrective. This instantly flips power dynamics. Never overcorrect. One sentence is enough. If you continue speaking, you dilute authority. Machiavellian communication leaves no emotional residue. Words matter, but presence matters more. There is a form of dominance so strong it doesn't require speech at all. This brings us to one of the most misunderstood aspects of power: strength without aggression. Method 6. Show strength without aggression. Aggression is loud. Strength is quiet. Aggression seeks control. Strength assumes it. Machiavelli. Warned, he who becomes feared through hatred is destroyed. The goal is deterrence, not chaos. Many people think dominance comes from raising your voice, physical posturing, threats that's false. Those behaviors signal instability. True strength is conveyed through restraint. Strength is communicated through calm posture, slow, deliberate movement, controlled breathing, steady eye contact. Minimal words. These cues signal, I am not threatened, I am in control. The nervous system of others responds automatically. Example of verbal aggression. Someone raises their voice at you. Most people respond by matching intensity. Machiavellian response. You lower your voice. You slow your speech. You maintain eye contact. You say, lower your tone. Nothing more. This reverses polarity instantly. Why? Because humans subconsciously submit to emotional stability. When you remain calm under pressure, people assume you've handled worse. You're confident in outcome. You're dangerous to provoke. Calmness implies experience and power. Your body language must align with your strategy. Avoid fidgeting, over-smiling, shrinking posture. Fast speech. Stillness communicates authority. Machiavelli understood the power of optics long before psychology named it. The strongest leaders are not feared for their anger, but for their decisions. They don't threaten. They act. When strength is proven through action, aggression becomes unnecessary. Everything so far has been external. Boundaries, silence, indifference, reputation, communication, presence. But all of it collapses if one thing is missing. The final method is not social, not verbal, not visible. It is internal control. This is the core of Machiavellian power. If someone can emotionally move you, they can control you. Machiavelli believed most rulers fell not to enemies, but to their own impulses. Anger, pride, ego, fear. Self-mastery is the ability to delay reaction, and delayed reaction is power. Emotionally reactive people are predictable. Self-mastered individuals are not. Unpredictability forces caution. Caution creates respect. What self-mastery looks like. You don't respond immediately. You don't explain emotionally. You don't seek validation. You don't chase closure. You decide when and how to act. That alone shifts hierarchy. Most manipulation relies on triggers. Insults, disrespect, provocation. If nothing triggers you, manipulation fails. The manipulator becomes exposed. Example, insult without reaction. Someone insults you openly. You don't defend. You don't argue. You don't escalate. You observe. Later, when calm, you decide. Ignore, correct, withdraw access, enforce consequences. You act from choice, not impulse. This is dominance. Self-mastery is not suppression. You still feel emotion. You just don't obey it. Machiavelli admired rulers who could feel rage and still choose patience. Your internal dialogue matters. Self-mastery means, I don't need to win this moment. I need to control the outcome. That mindset eliminates desperation. Let's pull everything together. You don't ask for respect. You engineer conditions where disrespect fails. You do this by defining boundaries, using silence to control timing, starving disrespect with indifference, letting reputation fight for you, communicating with precision, projecting calm strength, mastering yourself completely. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. Disrespect is not a personal flaw. It is a strategic problem, and strategy always wins over emotion. Machiavelli did not teach hatred. He taught awareness. Once you understand power, you stop explaining yourself. You stop proving yourself. You stop reacting. And people feel it. They adjust. Not because you demanded respect, but because disrespect stopped being safe. Subscribe to this channel for more content on self-empowerment and leadership. Because power isn't about controlling others. It's about never being controlled again.